I've been getting a lot of questions about the gear I have on my truck for overlanding. I'm going to walk you all through it, but I want to say this really clearly. This is not the absolute right thing to do. Everybody has their own opinion. Everybody has their own budget. Everybody has their own desires of what they want and don't want. This is just what I want, and I'll tell you why I chose what I chose, and you can make any decision you want for your own vehicle if you choose to do that. My platform is a Ram Power Wagon. I did just video on why I think that's a great one for me. And starting at the top, most important thing, and the first thing is where are you going to sleep at night? I have an iCamper. It's a hard shell iCamper. I used to have a Tepui with had zippers and Velcro and all that stuff. I like this hard shell. It's a much easier clasp and open up and flop it up and use it inside. It's basically a full king size bed. It's lighter than a lot of other ones at 140 pounds. I like it a lot. I especially like it because I got it damaged. So I basically got it 75% off. It had holes in the fiberglass up top, and hey, nothing a little Bondo can't replace. It's been great for me. I also have this right here. This is an awning. I'll show you how this works, or a little bit of how it works. This awning unzips. Brand is 220. And by the way, when we talk about this, it all costs a lot of money, but the way I look at all this is, if I'm having a week of vacation and I'm not spending a week at a timeshare or a week of hotels, it's money that makes up over time. This unzips, this sucker opens up, and you've got all these brackets here that open. I'll show it to you, why not? This opens all the way up, and then this one here opens all the way up. It actually comes all the way around the vehicle, all the way in the front and all the way in the back. It's a 270 degree or something like that. This is made by 220. I like it a lot. For storage systems, I went with the Lightner Designs rack. This is the Ford system. I had the classic system before. You can go down a rabbit hole and look at it if you like. And I used to have 3 individual boxes on my last rig. For this new rig, I went with one big one. I think it's called the job box. These do leak a little bit, so I have these liners to keep from leaking. I keep all my rain gear in one, or cold weather gear, and all my dog's gear, as well as an axe I have in here, recovery gear. This is a deal that goes around a tree that you hook your winch to. And then this is called a yank 'em up rope. It's a kinetic energy rope, so when someone's stuck, you actually get a run at it, and it does like a rubber band, like boing, and then extra force that pulls them out. I like this a lot. I also have my axe that's up underneath. This has been a great system for me. If we come to the back of the truck, put in this decked system. This is a really great system for guys who are in the trades, like to carry their tools. It is great for that, but I also find it's just great to keep all of your cooking gear in, all of your plates, all of your spices. You can take hundreds of pounds on top of it, and it just keeps everything organized, and it's also very watertight. It's a deck system. This was my most recent intense purchase. It's an actual refrigerator. I know, like, oh my gosh, refrigerator. Why do you need a refrigerator? You don't. In fact, very little of this stuff do you actually need. If you want to just take a bunch of Rubbermaid boxes with your own ground tent and some sleeping bags and not do all this, you can do that. But as you add your system over time, and as you start spending more money, it can actually be justified. I like having this refrigerator. It comes on an Alucab tilt slide. And the reason I like this refrigerator is because when we're packing all of our meals, which right now all we have is drinks in there, I like that my food never gets wet. No matter how I try to figure out how to have ice and put it in Ziploc baggies, all melted cheese goo would get throughout the whole thing, and just meat scraps, and just, I put eggs in here, meat stuff, it all stays dry, it's all ready, and it works really well for me. This is the ARB Elements fridge. It's the only fridge in the market, at least when I bought it over a year ago, that can stay outside. That's why it's called the Elements, exposed to the elements. This fridge has never been off. It's always on. It's been on for over a year, outside in all different kinds of weather, and everything is good. When I don't have it here in the fridge, I actually take it to my back porch. I unplug it, plug it in the wall, and we have drinks on the back porch. That's what this is. Come over here. Actually, while we're here, I'm going to show you something, because we're going to talk about this a little bit. Way in the back there, if you can see, way in the back, if you can see that black box is a secondary battery. You're going to have to figure out power if you're going to do a refrigerator. Some people get these temporary Yeti batteries, big Yeti batteries, not by the cooler company Yeti, but another company. Some people do solar. Everyone has different things, but when your vehicle's going to be parked for a couple days, you can't have it just sucking your normal battery, your car battery, your truck battery, because you'll never get started up. So I installed a secondary battery that powers this at all times. I'll give you more info on that in just a minute. Let's keep coming around the truck here. These are called traction boards. This brand is MaxTrax. So they're original. Actually, probably the most expensive. You can get other knockoffs that work just as fine. And what these things do is they go underneath your tires when you're stuck in mud or you're stuck in snow. Or let's say you're coming up to a rock that's like yo high and you don't want your tire to go over it. You can actually take these off. I'll show you how I do that. They're very tight. You actually take these off, set it over the rock, and the thing will go up and over, and you'll basically bridge it. These are MaxTrax or recovery boards, whatever brand you want. I'll tell you what, some of this stuff sounds like, you don't need that. Well, when you're dozens and dozens of miles from the closest road, and AAA ain't coming to get you, you've got to figure out a way to recover yourself, self-recovery. So a winch and stuff like this is a huge, huge, huge difference. You come over here, I have another lightener box. The lightener system comes with a bunch of little doodads. This one is very important because in this is where I have all my electronic stuff. This guy right here is a Red Arc. I don't even know what the exact name of it, but basically it's made by a company called Red Arc, and it does two things. First, for the second battery, whenever I turn off the ignition on the truck, it isolates it. So it cuts off the battery, so my refrigerator only draws from that secondary battery. It never touches the front. So I could drain this battery down to nothing, which I've never done. I've been out in the wild off-grid for multiple days and no problems. But if I do drain down to nothing, I'll still be able to get out and get going. The other thing it does, it tricks the alternator to keep charging, because today's modern vehicles have what's known as smart alternators, which means the alternator by the computer knows when the battery should be charged, and then it cuts off. It's one of the miles per gallon saving devices they have, which is ridiculous. They're probably saving like 0.0001 mile per gallon by your alternator shutting off versus running all the time. Problem is, the alternator thinks it's only charging the one battery up there, and you've got to fool it that no, alternator, keep going, because you got to be charging both of these batteries at all time. So that's what this unit, this system does. This is my fuse block, where all of my electronics that are ancillary are plugged into this. I'll pull it off for you here. This right here is my compressor switch. That's what that is. It starts my compressor up. It also has my electronics for my refrigerator, and also something else. I can't remember actually what that was, but that's all locked in right here. This is how I fill up my tires when I air down off-road. I used to have a compressor made by Viair and had a big tank that I would mount, 2.5 gallon tank. I actually put 2 compressors going into that. The compressors are getting the air in the tank, and then out of the tank you would fill the tires. I've tried this new system that doesn't have a tank. It has double compressor. It's made by ARB, and I've used it on one trip, and it does a good job. I like it. It takes me, when I have 35-inch tires that are aired down to 25 psi from 60 psi, it takes a little over 4 minutes per tire to go from 25 psi to 60 psi. Now, obviously, if you don't have to go up to 60 psi, if you don't have a heavy-duty truck, then it's going to take you less time. But that's amazing to have that ability for when you get a gash in your tire, or you puncture your tire, or if you just go from off-road where you need the soft tires that have the low air, having them act like balloons, to now I'm back on highway for the next hour before I get the next trail, and I need to have it back up because it's just too unstable. So that's what I use there. So that's about all of my systems here on my truck. It never ends. You just keep adding to it. That's what I have right now, and I've got some new stuff in the works. I'm probably going to get some new rock sliders that will protect my entire body, not just these guys, and some other doodads as well. So as I fill in things, I'll let you know, but this is what I found to be a system that works for me.